Picture this. It's a quiet Sunday afternoon in Beverly Hills. And then, that quiet is just shattered by gunfire. The target? The home of a global superstar. But what starts as a pretty shocking crime, well, it quickly spirals into this incredibly complex story about mental illness, obsession, and a huge online conspiracy theory. Okay, let's get into it and try to separate what we know for a fact from all the speculation. Chilling, right? This is just one of many public statements made by the woman at the very center of this story. It's a sentence that's both terrifying and, honestly, just deeply disturbing. And it's really our way into understanding the mindset behind an attack that put one of the world's most famous families in serious danger. So, who said this, and what on earth led them to this point?
All right, so before we dive into all the theories and the speculation, it's really important to just ground ourselves in the facts. What do we actually know happened on that day, according to the police?
10. That's how many shots were fired from a white Tesla directly at Rihanna's property. Investigators say the gunfire came from across the street and it actually pierced the home's exterior gates and walls. They even found a bullet lodged in the roof. Yeah, make no mistake, this was not some kind of warning. This was a full-on assault, and it was absolutely intended to do serious harm.
And this detail, this immediately cranks up the severity of the whole situation. An AR-15, that's a weapon of war. Seeing it used in a quiet residential neighborhood, it just speaks volumes about the terrifying intent behind this attack. And you can only imagine, for the family inside, how horrifying that realization must have been. Sources close to them said that even with great security, it's just a scary thought that this could happen right at your home.
And this is where the human cost becomes just terrifyingly clear. This wasn't an attack on an empty building. There were 9 people on that property. 9. Including 3 very young children. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky were reportedly in a trailer on the property when the shooting started. Can you just imagine the absolute terror of hearing those shots go off and having no idea who's firing or why?
So, let's shift to the central figure who was identified and arrested by the police. Understanding her background is so crucial to piecing together a motive here. And as we're about to see, her public history paints a really clear picture of a troubled person on a very dangerous path. So after the shooting, the Tesla took off, but it didn't get very far. An LAPD helicopter actually tracked the car, which led to the arrest of Ivana Ortiz. She was charged with 1 count of attempted murder and, get this, 9 counts of assault with a firearm. That's 1 for each person on the property. And her bail was set at a staggering $10 million.
So the crucial point here is that this didn't just come out of nowhere. Not at all. Public records show this pattern of escalating behavior. In 2023, she was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility in Florida. A little later that year, she filed this bizarre petition against the promoter Live Nation to try and block a Billie Eilish concert. I mean, her digital footprint was basically a trail of public warning signs.
Her social media posts, wow. They reveal this deeply disturbed worldview. It really seems like she was in a state of psychosis, convinced she was in this one-sided feud with celebrities like Rihanna, Cardi B, and Kim Kardashian. Social media basically acted as an echo chamber for her delusions, where she thought they were sending her messages and harassing her, and her responses just got more and more aggressive.
This is a pretty fascinating window into her specific delusion, and it really highlights a dark side of celebrity culture. In a video, she explained that seeing pictures of celebrities in stores was antagonizing her, that they were throwing bad energy at her, and her solution? To buy stock in the company. It just shows this deeply distorted grasp on reality, where what was probably a one-way parasocial relationship had just curdled into this feeling of being persecuted.
And right here is where we see this really dangerous mix of religious psychosis and violent ideas. In her videos, she'd often speak really calmly. She'd even be smiling while calling on God to violently harm Rihanna, who she called a witch. That disconnect between her calm demeanor and her violent words is it's truly unsettling, especially because these were all public posts, just visible signs of a crisis unfolding right out in the open.
So, with the suspect identified and her mental state pretty clearly documented, you'd think the story ends there, right? But nope, it doesn't. In the world of online chatter, the arrest was really just the beginning. The conversation suddenly pivoted from a lone, disturbed individual to a much bigger, more sinister theory.
And this is the question that just set the internet on fire. People online started asking, who sent her? Was she just a mentally ill woman who acted on her own delusions? Or was she the perfect, unstable person to be manipulated and used by someone else who had a motive?
Okay, we have to be super clear here. This is an entirely unverified online theory, but it gained incredible traction. The speculation pointed towards Jay-Z and his company, Roc Nation, suggesting they might have somehow influenced Ortiz. Now, this theory taps into this long history of rumors about Jay-Z's professional control over Rihanna's early career and their supposedly strained relationship.
And this conspiracy theory, it doesn't just exist in a vacuum. To build their case, online sleuths started connecting the attack on Rihanna to strange incidents involving another major female artist, arguing that this is all part of a larger pattern.
There is point specifically to this tactic, swatting. This is where someone makes a fake 911 call, reporting a shooting or child abuse, to trigger this massive and, frankly, potentially deadly police response at an innocent person's home. And it's exactly what has repeatedly happened to the rapper Nicki Minaj.
So this side-by-side comparison is what really fuels the online theory. The argument people are making is that these are not just isolated events. They see a direct armed assault on one artist and a campaign of psychological harassment against another, and they draw this line from both incidents straight back to the same alleged source. The goal, they claim, is to isolate and intimidate these powerful women. Okay, so what do we do with all of this? We have a real-world crime with a clear suspect, we have a documented history of severe mental illness, and then layered right on top of it all, we have this explosive but totally unproven conspiracy theory. So what's the real takeaway here?
Ultimately, this story really operates on three completely distinct levels. First, you have the undeniable crime and the very real danger that celebrities face. Second, you have the tragedy of a person's public mental health decline with countless warning signs that were visible for anyone to see. And third, you have the power of the internet to weave all these elements together into this compelling story that may or may not have any basis in reality at all.
And that leaves us with this final, really crucial question. When the lines between a documented public breakdown and a shadowy conspiracy get this blurry, how are we supposed to navigate the information? How do we focus on the verifiable facts without getting totally lost in the noise? And where does our responsibility lie when we see the warning signs?